Did you know you can bake on a Traeger? I've got 3 delicious galettes coming your way. It smells so freaking good. That is so good. That's probably one of my favorite fillings. What's up, Traeger Kitchen? I'm Nichole Dailey, culinary producer at Traeger Grills, and today I am making galettes. We're gonna make 3 different kinds. They're super easy. I like them better than traditional pie, but let's give it a shot. So first up, we're gonna make our crust. This is a pretty neutral crust. There's a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt in here, so it's great if you wanna do a savory application or sweet. But we're just gonna throw everything in this bowl. And this is, I've made a lot of galettes. This is the favorite method that I have found. It's a method that I saw from Carla Lolly Music in her Bon Appetit days. It gives you a beautiful, like super flaky, nice crust. So once that's mixed, we're just gonna dump it out on the counter. And then you're gonna take a rolling pin, and for here we're just like building those layers. So what we're doing is, it's called lamination. This is a very crude version of that, I guess. We're not going as heavy as we would on like a croissant, but it's the same idea. So you're building these like little thin sheets of butter to go throughout your dough. This is gonna melt once it hits that hot grill. It's gonna release all that moisture and air and puff, and that's what gives you those nice layers in between. So you want cold butter, and you want to touch it with your hands like as little as possible. We're gonna use a rolling pin and a bench scraper to do most of the work so we don't warm up the butter. So once you get it like this, just kind of give it a scrape every once in a while. It's gonna look kind of like a mess, but you just gotta trust the process. I promise it will come together. Try to add additional flour or water as little as possible. So you can see we've got like all these little layers, super nice, shaggy. From here, we're gonna add our liquid. So we've got a little bit of ice water, and this is some distilled vinegar. It adds a nice element to the crust, a little bit of acidity, helps balance it out a little bit. If you don't have distilled, you can also do apple cider vinegar. I've done it both ways. They're both great. So from here, you're gonna use your bench scraper as you pour this over the top to kind of corral the water. And then you just kind of want to toss it around until you don't see any more like puddles. Again, like trying to touch that butter as little as possible. And then we're going to take our rolling pin, just using the flour that we have on the counter, and you're going to start to roll this out into like a long strip. So really gentle, just give it some time to come together. Like I said, it looks ridiculous right now, but it's like magic the second it comes together. So we're gonna get it similar to like this, and then we're gonna take from the front and fold in, and same from the back. It feels weird doing it like this because it's, again, like so shaggy and it's not folding, but it will, I promise. And then we're gonna take the whole thing and just kind of change directions and do it again. Got a little wet spot right there. And then we're gonna fold again. And we're gonna do this 3 or 4 times until your dough comes together. Every batch I do is different. So just feel it out. Depends on the day, the moisture, the temperature of your counter. all sorts of things can be a factor. So you can see it's kind of resembling dough a little bit more, but we're not quite there. We'll do another fold. And so back here I've got all this dry bits. I'm just gonna tuck them into the center to try to get them to absorb back up. Same thing here. Just gonna tuck those in and then turn. And we're just building layers of butter and flour to get that nice flaky dough. Okay, so what you're looking for here is to make sure that like most of that dough is hydrated. It's still a little bit kind of cracking on the edges and things like that, but what we're gonna do from here is let it set up and rest in the fridge for a period of time. You wanna make sure you're allowing that flour the time to hydrate and kind of even out a little bit. So from here, we're just gonna wrap it in plastic wrap. And you're gonna do it nice and tight. And then the last thing we're gonna do is do one more roll over the top, just to make it into like this super nice, smooth little package. So we're gonna set this in the fridge. I've already got 2 others ready to go for our other flavors, but we're gonna let them rest for about 20 minutes and then we'll come back and do the next step. Okay, so our dough has rested. I let them come up to not quite room temp, but just a little bit warmer than straight out of the fridge. If you do it straight out of the fridge, sometimes they can crack. So you don't want it ice cold, but it's beautiful. So we're making 3 different kinds, like I mentioned before. We're gonna cook these straight on the grill on butcher paper. So I'll shape them into a rectangle, and then right before I roll it out, the beauty of a galette is it doesn't really matter the shape, how it comes out. Like, it's supposed to be rustic. It's supposed to be, you know, a little funky and have some character. The edges will crack a little bit, and that's totally fine. But if you want to, you can take it and kind of get it into more of a round if you're going for a round galette. Sometimes mine just end up square and there's nothing I can do about it, so we just roll with it. So we're, again, using as little flour as we can. We don't want to add too much to this dough. We're going to start rolling it out, and I can already tell this one's going to be a square. And you don't want to go too thin with these. Again, trying to keep all those layers in here. I like a nice ratio of crust to filling. I really enjoy the crust. If you don't like it quite as much, you can go thinner, get more pieces out of it, but again, you won't have the same type of layers. All right, I think that's pretty good. So we're just gonna transfer her onto butcher paper. It's gonna be a little bit bigger than the butcher paper. That's okay, we're gonna fold it in and it will all fit nicely. So first one down, 2 more. Last one down. Now I am going to clean up my station a bit and get a cutting board, and we'll build out all 3 of our fillings. Okay, so first one we're gonna make is a mixed berry. You could do this using any berries that you have. Today I'm using blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. You do any combination. You just do 1 berry. Basically what you need is a pound of whatever it is you're using. So if you've got, do you just want to do straight blueberries, that's great. Totally up to you. We're gonna do zest of 1 lemon. We'll do a little bit of sugar. These berries are a little tart, so knowing that, I went a little bit heavier. If you've got really nice sweet berries, or you want it a little bit more tart, you could always pull back or push that up, depending on your preference. Just a pinch of salt to even it out, and some cornstarch. This is gonna help thicken all those juices that come off the berries and give it a nice syrupy quality. And then you just wanna give this a light mix. Try not to crush any of them. And then if this is looking a little bit dry, like this one is right now, I'll take that lemon, just cut it in half, and add a little bit of that juice just to get it started. This smells so good. It smells like summer. Next up, we're gonna make an apple pear. Kind of reminiscent of a classic apple pie. A couple things added in. And again, you can swap this up depending on the season, depending on what you can find at your local market. If you have some stone fruit, that would be really great in here. Peak of summer, some peaches. I'm gonna peel these off. Again, personal preference, you can do whatever you want. So depending on where you are, if you can't find any fresh stuff that you like, you can also use frozen. I think the one thing to keep in mind with frozen is just keep an eye on the moisture content. So you might need to accommodate for that a little bit one way or the other. So we're just gonna cut these in half, take a bit of that core out. So then we're just gonna slice these up about like that, maybe 1/4 of an inch. So first off, I'm gonna add a little bit of lemon juice and lemon zest to this. Okay, spice-wise in this one, I'm gonna use some cinnamon, nutmeg, that was allspice, and nutmeg. You could add a little clove in here if that's something that you like. A touch of acid in the form of apple cider vinegar. Some vanilla bean paste. You could use extract if you've got it, or vanilla bean. Just give that a nice toss. Last two things, some brown sugar. And I like to add a little bit of butter in with my apple pie. So we're just gonna smash this into little nuggets. And then we'll give that a toss. Oh, it smells so good. All right. Our last one, we're just gonna do straight into the pie crust. First up, I like to do it on this butcher paper. It makes it super easy to get it on and off the grill. You could easily do it on a sheet tray if you've got it. It's not gonna change anything in the way it cooks. So we're just gonna dump this right in the center. It smells so freaking good. And then just kind of spread it out a hair. You wanna give yourself a little room to fold that up, and this will sink down a little bit. So if you wanna pile it up in the center too, you could do that. So then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna start kind of like pleating and forming it up over the berries. So you just take an edge and tuck it in. You don't wanna like press it down too much or mess with it too much. Just let it do its thing. And then when you're gonna do the next one, you just form this little pleat and pull it up. Give it a nice little tap, but be gentle. And then we'll just do that all the way around. Just tuck her in nice and cozy. It already looks so pretty. Okay, we'll do our next two. It's our apple. Again, just piling it up in the center. It's a super fun, really easy way to do like a bunch of smaller ones that are different flavors. Last one is always a crowd favorite. This is a Nutella banana. You just want to make sure that this is room temp, it's not too cold or it won't spread. And then just give that a nice spread. Again, giving yourself an inch or two around the edges. All right. For this one, we'll cut it in half. And then I think I'm going to do this one in quarters since I only have one. But you could easily do 2 bananas cut in half. We'll just nestle these in there. Now again, we'll just fold and tuck. Now because I'm a sweet and salty gal, we're gonna do brown sugar. And I'm gonna finish with a little bit of large flake salt. All right, last step. We wanna get a really nice, crispy, crunchy, golden crust on these. So we're gonna do an egg wash and some turbinado sugar. Give it a nice gentle brush all the way around. Again, not pushing down too far into that crust. We're gonna cook these on our wood ridge. We've got it set at 425. We're using apple pellets on these. You could also use cherry or pecan. Any sort of baking, I like to use a little bit lighter, more gentle pellet or hardwood. We're gonna start these at 425. As soon as you put them on, we're gonna knock it down to 350. It'll help to like really set that crust and get a nice firm crust on the bottom where it can kind of support the filling, but then allow that fruit, the nice gentle cook at 350 to finish all the way through. Last one. Okay, these pies are ready to go. Like I said, we're gonna throw them on at 425. As soon as they go on, we'll knock that temperature down. Because I'm cooking 3, I'm gonna cook 2 on the bottom and 1 on the top rack. Because of that, we're gonna swap them halfway through, but if you're only cooking 1, you don't really need to do that. You could just leave it alone, let it ride on the bottom. Okay, we're gonna let those go about 40 minutes. What you wanna see is a nice golden brown around the edges on that crust. And then the fruit should have softened, and those juices, especially with the berry one, should have thickened up and be nice and syrupy. If they're not quite there yet, let them ride a little bit. It's a flexible time. Just keep an eye on it, and we'll check back. All right, our pies are ready to go. So the recipe says 40 minutes. Make sure you just keep an eye on it. These ones today have taken a little closer to an hour, but I'll show you what to look for. It's flexible depending on, one, how many you're cooking on the grill, what the temperature is outside. There's a lot of different factors that can affect that, so just watch them. Always go by that over just a straight up time. So we'll pull these off. Ooh, look at those bubbles. Apple. Bananas, nice and bubbly. And our mixed berry. All right, it's been quite the process, but our pies are ready to go. I'm gonna finish off this mixed berry pie with a little bit of powdered sugar. You could also do some mint. You could do a little hot honey on one. You know, it might be kind of nice. Now I'm gonna take a bite. My favorite is this apple, so we're gonna pull that up here. Take a slice. Again, these are super easy and I think very impressive when they come to the table. I think it's a fun way to do it without the pie dish and a little fresh and new maybe for your guests. Let's see if I can get a good, I'm gonna show off these layers that we worked so hard for. So if you can see right in here, it's so nice and flaky. There's tons of layers built into that. That's exactly what you want. So I know it's a little bit more work to do it by hand, but if you're a fan of a nice flaky, crispy crust, I promise it's worth it. Again, you can do it in a food processor. You're just not gonna get this same thing. I don't have a spoon, so I'm gonna do a little dollop with my fork here. Or maybe a big dollop. Ooh! Let's give this a bite. That is so good. That's probably one of my favorite fillings. I love the tartness from that little bit of apple cider vinegar and the richness that the butter brings to it. And that crust is seriously something else. Like, it holds up so well. You could eat it like a slice of pizza if you wanted to. I think that trick of starting high and dropping it down low really, really helps deliver that. Make sure you give this a try. You can dress this up, you could do it however you want. Savory, sweet, the world is your oyster. But if you want to give these 3 a try, make sure you check out the recipe in the description below. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.